Good morning. Welcome to Free Game in the Black Biosphere. Today we will be interviewing an entrepreneur and CPA out of Landover, Maryland. He's also a public figure, by the way. A public figure is a critical thinker, effective communicator, innovator, and conqueror. The public figure we'll be interviewing today is Mr. Cory Johnson. Seniors, we gather here today to get some free game from our speaker, Mr. Cory Johnson. What is free game, you may ask? Free game is a form of networking that drops knowledge and give us young kings an idea and perspective of our future success. For our first segment is pregame. Can you describe what it was like growing up in Baltimore?
Yeah, so before we get started, I'm going to just introduce myself. So my name is Cory Johnson. I'm a CPA. I've been in business for over 15 years. But getting into your question, Baltimore, I grew up in Baltimore in the 90s. It was pretty rough. It's kind of how DC is right now. It was fun, but it was also rough. So, I was happy to get out of Baltimore once I turned 18.
What was some common conflict that you went through growing up?
Common conflict. I wouldn't say not too much common conflict, but more so trying to find your spot within the world, within the city, within your family, within school.
Can you describe your first year at Temple University?
Yeah, so Temple University, Philly is just like Baltimore. It's just bigger. So that was one of the reasons why I chose to go to Temple, is because I would be able to be close to home. Also, at the same time, Philly is, well, not Philly, but Temple is right in the middle of like North Philly. So it allowed me to feel like I was at home. I could venture out into the neighborhood and be good. Most of the folks look just like us. So that was one of the reasons why I chose Temple. Definitely had fun going to the parties. Definitely had fun going down the South Street, going to go get a Philly cheesesteak. Uh, Going to the malls that they have out there. King of Prussia is one of the biggest malls, so able to do that. But also being able to leave Baltimore allowed me to explore the world as well. So being in Philly, I was like 2 hours from New York. I was like an hour from Atlantic City. I was probably about another 3 hours from like Connecticut area, something like that. So being in Baltimore and eventually going to Temple, it allowed me to like expand my knowledge of the world and being able to explore outside of Baltimore.
Can you give us like your favorite memory from college? Like favorite memory.
Um, One of them that comes to mind. Most of you probably never seen the show, but if you ever seen 106 in Park, I went to a taping of that. That was basically one of my freshman year. We all got tickets and we just hopped on a bus and we went to New York. That was one of my like good memories. That was like freshman year. But aside from that, I would say one of my best memories from Temple is I would say being able to graduate.
True. To close out the first segment, we have a question from an audience member. Tyrone would like to know, how did you pay your tuition? Were you awarded scholarships and grants, or did you have to take out loans?
So I had a mixture of things. I had money that my grandmother left me, and then I also had money that my family had to pay, and then I had money that I had to pay. I didn't have any scholarships. I also did not apply myself to do as much in scholarships, like to get scholarships. So it was basically out of pocket and student loans.
All right. So for our second segment, this is called Life on the Jumbotron. As we know, you're a CPA, but you're not just that. You're also an entrepreneur, running your own firm. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah. So I knew as a kid that I wanted to work for myself, and kind of like skipping ahead, uh, leaving college, I knew I wanted to start a business. And so I started a business and then I transitioned that into what I do now. And so with that business, we work on individual tax returns for about 300 to 350 different clients. And then we also do like accounting, payroll, and taxes for businesses. And so that has grown over the years. And as an entrepreneur, you always have to be on the cusp of, different trends, understanding your business and what brings in the revenue. And having the financial background allowed me to be able to be an entrepreneur, but also help other businesses grow as well.
Okay. Does that like take a lot of your time, or do you have a lot of leisure time?
I would say it's a responsible split. It's also like a split, and when I say split, it's a good work-life balance. So for example, and just to give you some type of perspective, uh, technically I'm on the clock for my business right now, but I can choose to pick up the phone. I can choose to be here, which is what I intentionally wanted to do, is intentionally be here, as opposed to me being in an office. It would be hard for me to come here and do this with you all. So uh, being an entrepreneur has allowed me to be able to get on a plane and go somewhere, go to another country and do work from there. And so like last week I was on a cabin trip. I've been on a cruise and I've worked. I've been out of the country and I've worked. Um, Most of the work that I do is between like January and April, but throughout the year I'm pretty much busy all throughout the year.
Okay. So on average, how many hours would you say you work a week? If you can give me like a guess.
Uh Solid hours, I would say I do a good solid 40 hours,
Okay.
but it doesn't feel like 40 hours because um, where I work from home. So
Hmm.
I can choose my schedule. And part of my schedule is like I get up probably about 7 o'clock. I'll go to the gym till about 9:30, and then I'll come home and I'll do work from like 10 to 5. But technically, I'll do more work after hours, and that's folks who are sending emails late when I'm technically off the clock, and so I prepare those emails to be sent out the next morning. So technically, I'm always on the clock, but I do have downtime.
Okay. So what challenges would you say were the hardest to face becoming an entrepreneur?
I would say one of the hardest challenges that I had that most folks would have is having the confidence to step out there on faith and being able to say, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to put as much effort and time into it that I need to in order to get where I want to get to.
Okay. How much do you invest back into your company?
I would, I invest a good amount back into the company, but I wouldn't use that wording in that way. Um, I more so invest in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so by investing in myself, I take, the profits out of the business, pay myself, and then I use those profits to buy other assets that will generate revenue. So for example, and this is something that's actually happening right now, is that I'm actually in the process of buying another rental property. So I'm taking profits that I have from my business, I'm paying myself, and then I'm taking that cash and purchasing a rental property.
Oh,
So
okay.
being able to, with the knowledge that I have, I'm able to like use the tax code to my benefit, and that's what I use to actually like help clients as well.
Okay. And how much does your business like annually make?
So I was looking at the numbers last night, and so I'm somewhere between about 400 and 425,000.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I have another question. How has your entrepreneurship like helped your business side of your CPA, and like with connections and just in general?
Okay, that's a good question. So, a lot of the clients that I have, they either started as like they were friends or someone referred them to me. And just to put like some type of perspective in things, I have a client who works for a well-known firm. I mean, not a firm, but a well-known company that we've all shopped at. And by us being friends, he's also a client. And so
Mhm.
I do his taxes, but also at the same time, when he comes into town, because he used to live here, he knows a lot of folks in DC. And so he invites me out to different dinners, and at those different dinners, I've met several different people who are like very well known in DC. So being an entrepreneur and then at the same time being a CPA has allowed me to meet folks who I have no idea who they are, but after getting to know them, they're a good contact to have.
So networking is like a big part of what you do.
Uh, I would, yeah, being an entrepreneur, you definitely want to network. But me personally, the door is always open. And when I say the door is always open, there's always someone who's going to be calling me or emailing me to get work done. And so pretty much my network is my clients. I rely on my clients to spread the word. So if I continue to do quality work with them, they'll continue to provide folks with my information, and that will be the catalyst to help me grow.
Okay. And so to finish off the segment, we have a question from Andre. Andre would like to know what common mistakes prevent small businesses from growing and expanding.
There are several common mistakes. Off the top of my head, like the first three, I would say one, you should spend within your means. When I say spend within your means, don't rely on credit to start your business. Don't rely on credit to live. Don't rely on credit to pay for things that you obviously don't have the initial means to purchase. That's something for personal and business. Something else that I would suggest is that if you're starting out something new, reach out to a professional. It doesn't make sense to try and do it on your own if there are folks out there who have been doing it for years. So I would say reach out to a professional. And the third thing that I would say is that when starting out with business, and this piggybacks off the professional, don't be afraid to ask for help. Because if you never ask for help, it's a surefire way for you to end up failing.
Okay. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
asking about like entrepreneurship and everything. It was
Mhm.
really insightful.
Thanks.
So you're passionate about financial literacy. How do you incorporate this passion into your work?
So one of the ways that I do incorporate is by coming here and doing, events like this for you all. But in addition, I put together like articles that I post out, send emails out to my clientele. But one of the things that I like to do is just tell my family and friends, anyone who I know. So if someone, contacts me, and to give you an example, I would say on average during the week, I'll probably speak to about 5 to 10 different people, like consultations. Folks will book a consultation with me. And so they'll come on there asking one question, and then it leads to other questions that they want to ask, or it leads to me providing them more information than they expected. So anytime that I get on the phone with someone or someone's asking a question about something financial, if I have the information, I'm going to provide them as much as I can. Like, that's just how I feel. It's information that I know that I can provide others, and it can help everyone.
Okay. Do you have like an internship for young kings like us, or like have you thought of creating an internship?
Yeah, I definitely have been approached about creating an internship. I do intend to start some type of internship, but currently I don't have that set up. More so because the way that my business is structured, I'm working from home. Everything is done virtually. And so most of the folks who I prefer to hire are individuals who already have experience. So, for example, I have 3 contractors who do accounting work for me. They already understand the system. They already understand accounting. And then on the tax side, I have a tax preparer. And most folks would probably laugh at this, but the person who does most of the data entry for my tax returns is my mother. And the reason why I hire my mother is because I need someone who I can trust, because this is people's information. But also at the same time, my mother is a former IRS revenue agent. That's how I learned how to do taxes. So that's the best person to have in my business who I can trust and who can help me as well.
The question is, what are some common mishaps you've seen people at our young age make?
Okay. Some of the common mistakes, one, not being intentional, and two, not planning. And when I say intentional, being intentional in what you do, what you decide to do, who are your friends, um, what you put energy into. And then planning, I would say planning ahead. It doesn't, this type of event, you can't just put on in an hour, meaning you can't put everything together in an hour and do it. You had to plan ahead. So planning definitely will help you in life to succeed as opposed to waiting for the last minute to do everything.
What are some financial trends that you suggest for us to embark upon?
Budgeting, personal budgeting, not overspending, and definitely saving as much as possible.
Okay. Okay, for all the young listeners who might be aspiring to be a CPA or entering the accounting field, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to definitely, if that's what they want to do for sure, um, start planning ahead in terms of what school you want to go to, what CPA firm you may want to work for, because you're going to have to get some experience before you can get your license. But definitely picking out the school, the college to go to would be best.
Okay, as we wrap up today's episode, Cory, is there anything you want to share with our audience?
Uh, I would say definitely not try to, but put as much time and effort that you can into yourself, because no one else is going to put time and effort into you.
If people wanted to continue this conversation, how may they contact you?
The best way to contact me is via email, info@cpacory.com, or they can give me a call, 202-470-5285.
Cory, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk to us. Young Kings and staff, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all.